I think I'm losing my mind, trying to stay inside the lines.
This is Ida.
It's like you're running
Welcome
in place.
to Celestial View.
How you keep staying the same. But baby, I get something different, and I'm okay with that. I can't fake no more smiles. That shit gon' drive me mad. I'm focused on the future. Don't care about nothing else.
The Rahu Return is the astrological equivalent to climbing Kilimanjaro. But when we arrived, even if we're bruised and battered, it's so much more satisfying to get to the top. Hi everyone, this is Ida from Celestial You. Today I'm going to be going over the Rahu Return, which is part of the Planetary Return series. I'm doing this video to talk about the importance of Rahu in your birth chart. Coming up to your Rahu return, you might feel like the air is getting really thin up this mountain. You feel like a major change is happening, but you really don't know what. You might even be confused about it. You're going to need oxygen. You're going to need food. You're going to need medical supplies to get up this mountain. Most of all, you're going to need friends that are going to bail you out or have your back while you're making this journey. The problem is when you have your Rahu return, you're going to be looking up at that mountain and going, oh my gosh, I don't have any supplies. My friends aren't there to help me. So how am I going to do this? That's how it feels to have a Rahu return. You're leaving behind everything you're comfortable with and you're launching into something that you feel woefully inept at. You become a new person. You go through challenges and come out of your comfort zone and you find new experiences. And it might be something that you struggle with. Maybe you're bruised and battered, you have sprains, you have all kinds of cuts. But when you get to the top of that mountain, you feel that satisfaction of really doing something that used to be very uncomfortable for you and making it your new comfort zone. So what is Rahu? Well, Rahu is just the north node of the moon. And that's what they talk about in Western astrology. But in Vedic astrology, they call it Rahu. And it's the opposite of your Ketu position, which is what you're most familiar with and most comfortable with. So when you have your Rahu return, that's really you exploring areas in your chart based on the sign of the chart or based on that position of the house position. You're exploring those areas that you are most uncomfortable with. So the north node is where you are going in life, and the south node is where you have come from. It represents your past lives. And so the north node is your Rahu placement, and the south node is known as your Ketu placement in your birth chart. These indicate, like I said, what you are most comfortable with. That's going to be your Ketu south node position, and where you're going in life. And when you're not comfortable, that's going to be your Rahu position. So today I want to focus on 3 Rahu return time frames. So the return happens every 18 and a half or so years. So that first return is about 18 and a half years old. And then you have another one at about 37, and then you have another one at about 56 or 55 years of age. So these 3 returns, they act sort of differently. In that very first one, you're just becoming an adult because you're 18 years of age and you're sort of trying to figure out what direction you want to go in life. So is that you're going to go to college or you're just going to enter the workforce at that point? You're starting to move from your parents' house where you feel comfortable into uncharted territory. And really the difference with this first Rahu return is that you're mostly in the K2 position, or you're relying upon what is most comfortable. So for example, if you had a chart where your Rahu return was happening in your first house, then your K2 axis, or your south node, would be the 7th house. So the 7th house is your relationships. So what this would say at 18 is that, well, you're really comfortable in relationships. You know all about relationships, and you're pretty good at them. People like you. You have really good one-on-one interactions. But you know what? You don't have a sense of identity because you haven't developed the first house, which is your individual identity. And that's your Rahu position. So if that's your Rahu position at 18, you've relied on other people for a lot at this point, and you really don't know who you are. At about this time, you start thinking, I can't do this anymore. I have to be me. And maybe you're starting to rebel against the establishment. Maybe you're going, you know what, that's not what I want. I don't want what you want. You maybe have a breakup at this point. And that really tips the scale. So now you're going away from relationships in the K2, and you're going towards your Rahu. When you tip the scale, the pendulum will overcorrect during this Rahu return. That's why it's so jarring for some people, because they knew how to be in these relationships. They were so comfortable, and maybe they were even a little codependent upon others. And now they're swinging that all the way to the other side. No, I don't want to be around you. I want to just do my own thing. I'm a college student now. And you assert your self-identity at that point. And so that really thrusts you into adult life in that first Rahu return. Does it look like that for everyone? No. It depends on where your placement is. That would be the placement of Rahu in your first house. So if you want to find out more about the house placements, sign up for my blog, read through all the different house placements so you can find out how this is going to affect your life. Now, there are two other returns that we like to talk about here. This next return is the most important return, okay? At this point, you've already had one jab at trying to become a more independent person, if that's the direction you're going. But the reality is you're still really uncomfortable with your individuality. So on the second return around the age of 37, you have that next push where the pendulum might swing back over to the relationship part at first, you know, but when you come back over to the Rahu return at 37, it's going to force you really into deep dive into your own personality here and gain independence at that point. And this is really important. This is why so many people don't attain success until after their Rahu return, after that 37, 38 threshold. As they're going through this return, you really decide, what do I want to do for the world? Who am I? What is my direction? And what am I going to do about it? That's what you discover during this process. And then your third Rahu return, it's actually much later in life. You've already established who you are. You have some comfort with the Rahu position, self-assertion in this case, and then you also have some comfort with the K2 position, which is relationships. And at this point, you're really trying to just fine-tune that balance between Rahu and K2. Look at your birth chart and go ahead and pay attention to the house that's in, the sign that's in, if there are any planets surrounding that area. And that's going to sort of describe what your soul's journey will look like. If you need help interpreting that, you can go ahead and order a reading with the link below. If you are confused about the position of Rahu and K2 in your chart, I'm going to be going over some live examples in my next video. And that's going to give you a really clear picture of how this could affect your life, because this is a pivotal point. And we're going to go over also the exact moment of the return and how we use that to project what will happen during that return. So thank you for joining me today. Again, my name is Ida Alviun, and this is Celestial You. And if you really like this, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and join me for my next video because they're going to be coming out weekly.
I think I'm losing my mind, trying to stay inside the lines. It's like you're running in place. Yeah. How you keep staying the same. Yeah. But baby, I get something different, and I'm okay with that. I can't fake no more smiles. That shit gon' drive me mad. I'm focused on the future, don't care about nothing else. I'm better by myself.